Well, good morning, everyone. As rainy as it is Easter Monday, and we're happy to be here with our. And for those of you that are just joining us, we we did just receive some information from the Director of Communication with the Judicial Branch, and she says that there are probably going to be new orders issued and a frequently asked question and answer document published via the Judicial Branch website tomorrow. One of the things that has happened over the weekend is there's been some feedback that we received from the remote notarization order that was finally issued by the governor last week? What it did was it did a few things. One is it required you to record your video and audio and keep it stored for 5 years. We've had a request to change that, or at least that's the feedback we've received, that they'd be interested in changing it. We also had another group ask that the requirement that each witness and notary visualize every page to be initialed as being burdensome. The other request was that transmitting the documents that have been signed in view of witnesses and notaries within 24 hours by electronic means could be a difficult and burdensome activity for someone that's, doing this from their home. And they're hoping to have that changed. And then the request that documents be turned around in 48 hours to witnesses and to the notary are perhaps burdensome too. Those have been requests that have been shared with us for potential change, and we will work on forwarding at least that information to the governor in some format, whether it's recommended by the MSBA or not recommended by the MSBA. And we're looking for input from you, the listeners today, and for what your opinion is on the detailed requirements of remote notarization, and perhaps on the comments that have been shared with us so far. If you have any comments on those comments, that would be helpful for us. The other thing that we have an interest in is anyone that's filed one of these emergency motions outlined on page 3 of the PMO SJC 1. We have an interest in sharing that type of information with our membership. So if you've got something to share with us in that regard, please do so. Send it to us via email. The email's at the bottom of the page where Angela can receive it. Angela, any things that we want to add to this section?
I don't have anything. Let me see. I have a chat. Comments on the security confidentiality of Zoom Pro, Professional, or Enterprise.
Sure. I think that the Bar Council at the Board of Overseers is working on confidentiality issues, right?
That's true. Yes.
I think the message that they tried to send when they were asked a question about that, either this past Friday or the Friday before, is that an attorney needs to do the best they can to maintain confidentiality. So in the times that we face, such as COVID-19, and how we can service our clients, we need to balance those safety issues along with the risks of confidentiality in being able to service our clients. I think I'm kind of summarizing what Bar Council said in that regard. And that was, my comments were just made in response to a chat comment related to if we have any updates about confidentiality uses or security issues and confidentiality issues related to the use of Zoom and any other type of professional video chat
Thad,
process.
I believe you're correct. Aria did speak to that this past Friday. There were some questions about it. We have some information on our website, but basically they're saying, the attorney needs to do his or her own due diligence to make sure whoever they're communicating with their client. But we know that Zoom is having some issues, so you may want to look at other platforms.
And Angela, do you have some MSBA business side?
Yes, I do. So I just wanted to let, we did have someone give us some information, kind of like what Thad just asked for about if anybody's had successful emergency motions. We had someone do a will signing last week via Zoom, and they thought it went well. There were witnesses with the clients, and the assistant was the notary, and they said it came off without a hitch. So I guess that is working. If anybody else has any stories or occurrences of how that has worked for them, we'd appreciate that information. Also, last week there was, in reference to the notarization order, there was concern about it being within Maine, and we did pass that on to the governor's office, and the response was New Hampshire by emergency order also allows for remote notarization. So the concern was that, I've got clients in New Hampshire and I can only do it in Maine, but New Hampshire can do it as well. So you can probably find a New Hampshire colleague that can do that for you. At this time, they weren't looking to change it. Just a reminder that we have Bill Nugent joining us on Tuesday, and the overseers will join us on Friday. And we also have been told that Justice Meade, who is the going to be the interim chief here soon, will be joining us on Thursday of this week during our bar talk. And finally, next Monday, welcome to, I guess this is week 5 that I've been working from home. Next Monday, April 20th, is Patriots Day, and the MSB offices would typically be closed on that day, and we are going to follow that schedule, as it is one of the few things we can control right now. So on Thursday, I'm going to give my staff a break. Monday, April 20th. My staff will get a break. They will not be working, and we will not be holding bar talk on Monday the 20th. And I will give reminders of that the rest of this week. Thanks, Thad.
Thank you, Angela. So one of the things I wanted to share with you was that I'm involved in a case that is a guardianship case, and the Androscoggin County Probate Court is taking the initiative to hold a Zoom hearing. So it's I'm not sure yet whether or not it's going to be a evidentiary hearing with witnesses presented, but it's going to be a hearing to make a determination, at least if a hearing is going to be necessary. So that's going to occur on May 5th. So they are taking the steps to keep things going when without the knowledge of whether or not our stay in place order is going to continue beyond April 30th. And then I had something interesting to share. For those of you that are ABA members, at least I was sent a notice, and I'm not sure if it was because I'm a bar president or because they were sending it to all ABA members, but for those of you who didn't receive it, it's there was a resolution by the ABA on April 7th that they've already sent to Justice Softly, indicating that the resolution strongly urges the highest court or bar for admission purposes allow those law school graduates that graduated in 2019 or 2020 and have applied for admission to the bar to have their requirements to be allowed admission to the bar without taking the bar exam if the bar exam gets canceled due to COVID-19. So I thought you'd maybe want to know that that is something that's on the horizon for our leaders to look at. And if you have any thoughts on that, we could certainly share that with our Bar Talk group too. Communication, that's the key with your clients and with your staff and with the courts. Keep it up. Now, anything else related to business side, Angela? All right. So I'll go now to personal side updates. I wanted to let you know that I'm still trying to journal for what I have gratitude for and what I'm thankful for. And yesterday it was for our young people, for those young children that can find joy in just about anything and not be anxious or worried about those things that us adults are right now, and that are still too young to be handling handheld devices to get caught up with those too, especially in our times when we were without internet or without power. And I hope that everyone that's hearing this, of course, is with power and knows people that have been helped with electricity, and that you aren't going to be losing it again with our storm outside today. And I wanted to touch base with hydration. One of the 6 components that we talked about was staying healthy. I didn't get a chance to talk about it on Friday because of technical difficulties when my power and internet was out. One of the rules of thumb that, well, I mentioned a rule of thumb before about drinking half your weight in body ounce and half your body weight in ounces for staying hydrated. But one of the things that I do daily to help with getting a start on hydration is when I get up in the morning, I go drink a glass of water. It's about 12 to 16 ounces, depending on how full I get the glass. But for those of you that need help in getting started with hydration, that's one of the ways I do it. With that being said, we are at 2 minutes before the 15-minute mark. Are there any questions or more chats to share?
Marty Wolmer passed on a confidentiality concern regarding notarization. It's in the chat. You can read it. I indicated that we would pass that on to the governor's office as well.
All right. Thank you, Marty. And anything else before we close? All right. If not, then I want to remind you tomorrow we're going to have Bill Nugent give us a brief segment. We're expecting, as Angela said, Thursday to hear from Justice Meade and Friday to hear from Bar Council. And we intend to have other guest presenters too as time goes on. So please give us your feedback so we can share it as part of Bar Talk. I certainly gave you enough fodder this morning regarding the remote notarization and the potential for new lawyers this year without taking the bar exam. All right. Thank you, everyone. See you tomorrow at 11.